All right, guys, thanks for joining me today on today's training. Today, I'm going to show you my deal analyzer. This is the same deal analyzer that has helped me to automate my business and train my team to do deals without me. If I had to name 2 to 3 systems in my business that I couldn't do without and that are the most valuable, I would say that this would be one of them for sure. So if you're on our page, that you can or on this page, you'll be able to see a link at the bottom or on the side that you'll be able to download this deal analyzer that's in an Excel spreadsheet, and you can use it later to start analyzing your deals. So let me ask you this. Have you ever analyzed a situation in your life and decided to act or not to act, and then maybe made the wrong decision? And that decision led to extra work and maybe some aggravation? Well, that's why I put together this deal analyzer. And, this tool has allowed me to make better decisions when buying properties and keep me from wishing I had not done the deal, kind of like we do with some of the things in our normal everyday life. So before, what I used to do is use a formula that I would kind of do in my head. And, while that can be effective, and there's a lot of people that teach that, it's not the best way to analyze properties that can make you a lot of money, and also they can cause you a lot of headaches if you don't analyze them properly. So this deal analyzer is designed to take out the guesswork and make sure you take into account all the things you need to look at in order to make sure your deals are profitable. So there's 3 things today I really want you to get out of the deal analyzer. So number 1, I want you to see all the expenses that go into a transaction. This is where most investors get it wrong. They think they buy a property for a certain amount, they sell it for a certain amount, they do, repairs to it, and then they can get what they're going to make on the property. But there's so much more to it than that, and I'll show you why. I want you to also be able to estimate repairs better. There's some things in here that, we outline in bullet point that can help you to know whether you need to budget for that or not, or kind of remind you and have a spot for it, so that when you're going through your rehabs, you have a place to be able to put the repairs that go into almost every single property that you do. And the last thing, the third thing is I want you to have a system for automation so that you can train anyone to use this and do deals without you. So this is something that completely automated this side of the business, the acquisitions part. I used to go out, I used to use the deal analyzer, estimate projects, and do all of that. But once I put this system in place and customize it to a point where my team could use it on a daily basis and send me deals, so that I can just look at this and analyze it and say yay or nay on whether I want to do this deal within, usually a few seconds or at the most a few minutes, that's truly been invaluable. So I'm going to start showing you the deal analyzer here. So after you're done watching this video, again, make sure you download the deal analyzer and start using it. I do update this sheet regularly, so if there's some things on the screen you see here that don't match up exactly, there's some things maybe that are extra or taken out or something like that, it all functions the same. You can customize this worksheet. That's one thing that other guys do in this business that teach this type of thing, is they will lock their cells and make it so that you can't customize your spreadsheet. So if you have the base of the deal analyzer, if you mess up a formula or something, all you've got to do is have a copy saved to this, or go on to this page in the future and download it again and get a brand new fresh version. I always recommend, if you're going to analyze deals, to create a folder and name the spreadsheet you use for each deal. That way you're not crossing them up. That way you don't, analyze a deal and then, exit out by, going over it with another deal. So make sure you keep your spreadsheets separate and keep them organized. All right, so let's jump right into the deal analyzer. All right, so here it is. You've got on the left side, we do a lot of rent-owned properties. And on this side of the spreadsheet, you'll be able to estimate what you're going to be able to sell the property for outright, and you can also estimate a wholesale deal, which I'll show you here in a minute. And then on the right side, we do a lot of rent to own, so I'll show you if you decide you want to rent to own a property, how the numbers can figure over there, so you can see that part of it as well. All right, so if you see here, the yellow means you need to fill it out. The rest of these here are formulas. So make sure that you do not mess up those formulas, and I'll show you how those formulas are created. So simply fill in the address. This date auto-populates. If you want to change the date here, you can. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Let me get out of there. Don't do that. All right. Always be able to hit the back button if you need to, and if you mess up in the spreadsheet. So square footage, you just want to fill in the square footage there. Insurance per year, what kind of interest rate you're paying on your money, how long you figure you're going to hold the property. We typically don't hold it more than 4 months, so that's what we estimate. Some people maybe 6 months, some maybe 9 months, depending on how big the project is and things of that nature. How much you pay in utilities per month. You want to put your taxes in there, and you want to estimate commissions and fees. Now for us, we only pay 5% commissions and fees. I estimate 1% on the front end for closing costs and title fees, 1% on the back end for closing costs and title fees, and then 3% commission. So that's 5% total. If you don't have a realtor on your side like we have that doesn't charge a commission, then it's going to be 8%. So when in doubt, use 8%. This loan is auto-populated, so we borrow typically 100% of purchase price and 100% of repairs. So that's where this number comes from. So $39,585 is the formula for adding those two together. We on this particular deal, we thought this property would sell for about $70,000. If you look at repair overages, we just use 10%. If you're newer in the business, I'd recommend maybe 20% just to be safe, but use at least 10%. And you can, let's see, it's actually down here is where the overages are calculated, all the way at the bottom. So 10% of the repairs, which we'll get into here in a minute, is where that number comes from. Commissions and fees, like I said, 8%. So if you take this number right here times the after repair value is where you come up with that number. Miscellaneous costs are carried over from this side of the spreadsheet over here. And miscellaneous costs, you've got 4 months worth of taxes, 4 months worth of insurance. The buyer typically asks for 3% to be paid for them in closing costs and loan fees. That way they can build it into the loan. That's very standard. You can negotiate that, but 9 times out of 10, they're going to want that because they don't have the money, and they're going to have you pay that. There's on occasions where we don't have to pay that, which is really nice. Interest, take 4 months worth of interest. So it would be the loan, which is the purchase price plus the repairs, times 12%, and then that's per year, and then 4 months worth of interest. So that's how you get that number there. Inspection and staging, you need to fill that out. I don't know how much you charge or you will pay for inspections. I don't know how much you pay for staging. So that's something you're going to have to put in there. Utilities for 4 months. Remember, you put the utilities up here. That'll auto-populate down at the bottom for 4 months. You get all of your miscellaneous costs, and again, they transfer over. So if you take your sale price minus your purchase price, minus your repairs, minus some oopsies for repair overages, commissions and fees, as we showed you here up top as a percentage, your miscellaneous costs, your holding costs, there is your bottom line profit. Now you may be looking at this and you say, I'm a wholesaler, I wholesale properties. So if you want to make $5 grand on a wholesale deal, and you know that people are wanting to make somewhere around this number, $15,000 or $20,000, then all you got to do is take your purchase price and reduce it by that amount, and that's where you need to be on your purchase price to be able to make the $5 grand. You may also have landlords that may be willing to pay more, that may be willing to pay $20,000 or $25,000 for this property. They don't need all the equity. You don't have to figure all these holding costs and fees. They're willing to be in a house like this maybe for $50,000 or $55,000. So in this case, a purchase price of $15,000 may be okay for you. That's something that you're going to have to determine. So you're also saying, well, what about repairs? How do I come up with repairs? So before I get into that, I'll just say on this part of it here is you're just going to have to adjust your price until you get where you want to on profit. You decide you want to make 20 grand on a deal, you'll just need to start playing with these numbers until you get to your 20 grand profit. That was wrong there. All right, there you go. If you decide you want to be at 15, then we'll add in another 5. So there's pretty close to 15 right there. So if these numbers are true and correct, you need to be at $16,000 for your price. Now, again, I used to look at a deal like this and probably estimate, around 20 to 25 is where I could buy this deal. And by the time I paid all these costs and everything, when I first started in this business, I didn't have something like this. And so I would end up breaking even. I would make a little bit of money, maybe like $5 grand. But by the time it went down to it, by the time I put my time and effort into it, it wasn't worth making just $5 grand on this property because there's so much time and money that was involved in it. So by having this deal analyzer, I'm able to pinpoint down pretty close to a T where I will be at the end of a project. And I can tell you right now that when we use these spreadsheets, we are pretty close to, on point every single time. As long as we did our comps correctly for our sale price, and as long as we estimated our repairs correctly, which my team does a phenomenal job of estimating. And that's what we'll get into next. All right, so we do new appliances in almost every single property. So if you see these are yellow again, so if you punch in 1 here and you've got a $500 stove, it carries over for a total. You see the calculation here. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Undo that. All right. Same thing for a dishwasher. If you want to put a hood in instead of a microwave, over-the-top microwave, which is what we do, you can do that. And then labor to put in the appliances. Typically pay a couple $100 to put in appliances. Now, if you have a general contractor, you can take out that labor bid and you can go through this and estimate materials yourself and then have them provide a full labor bid. Or you can just use this for you being able to estimate the project. And then when a contractor comes in, if it says 25 on your deal analyzer and he comes in at 50, you should be able to go in here and look at it and say, okay, what are you estimating for sheetrock? What are you estimating for these certain things? That way you can pinpoint down and know where you can negotiate and know where he's way too high, right? Okay, so if you're wanting to finish a basement, this particular deal, it was $500 to do some kind of repairs to it. I'm not sure exactly what this was. This actually was a real deal we did. I just changed the address. We had to put mirrors in the bathrooms. We had to put a faucet in, cost $100. Tub surround kit. I'm pretty sure that was probably tile, but that could have been one of those full plastic tub surrounds where you have to install it with a plumber. That was $700. And if you estimate for some of these materials and you have a separate labor bid, then you can put that in here. Either we took the labor bid out for some reason, or these prices included the labor. This one also only had 1 bathroom, so there's no second bathroom. If you need a 3rd bathroom, you can either expand the spreadsheet yourself if you know how to do that, or just double up on one of the bathrooms. Most flips that you do are probably gonna have 1 or 2 bathrooms, so that's not a big deal. Right here, you can auto-populate this to do a percentage of this area up here if you want to. We used to do that until we started doing different floors in different areas. So Our formulas were not quite there. So we have our carpet guy go out and measure. We punch these numbers in. We know we pay $1.25 for carpet and pad, and then we pay another 50 cents to have it installed. If you are repairing or replacing a deck, you would put in the quantities here. And again, make sure you do your quantities where they need to be. Don't just put the number in on the right. And at the same time, if you don't need it, make sure it is out of there. Okay, it's very important. All right, so we know exterior doors cost about $200 to buy and to put in. Interior doors are about $100. And then if you just want to price the materials here and then do the labor separately, you can do that. And go down to the driveway. If you want to repair or replace the driveway, you can. Got a place for that there. Sheetrock repair is typically a big item for us. So this typically is going to be, I don't know, around $3,000. But we'll go ahead and leave that the way that it was. This one just needed $800 in repairs. Got a lot of light fixtures, so if you want globes, we get them from Lowe's for 12 bucks. Bath lights, we get them for about 50 bucks a piece. Changed out the electrical panel on this one, cost us about $800. And once you get all of your costs, you do your research to get all your costs down, you can change these. If you use these figures here, you're probably going to be pretty close, but over time, you're going to want to change them. Miscellaneous electrical repairs, and then extra labor to install the lights. This panel change actually included the labor. That's labor and materials, but when we buy the light fixtures and things like that, we just have an estimate for putting in lights. Exterior paint. If you, or exterior rather, if you've got some siding to replace, you can put your price there to get that replaced. To paint an exterior of a house is typically between $1,500 and $2,500, depending on how bad the house needs paint. Here, square footage, you can see our square footage prices over here. If you're putting vinyl in, that's typically $2 a square foot. Laminate is $3.75. Tile is $7 a square foot. And if the house is greater than $120,000, there's a note there that we typically do tile on our floors in the bathrooms, and sometimes in the kitchen or hardwood. So if you're looking at kitchen and it needs 60 square feet of ceramic tile, that's $7 a square foot. That's for tile, labor, all the materials, that's all in. That's approximately what it should cost to lay down tile. Maybe a little cheaper in some areas, maybe a little more expensive depending on who you use. Bathroom floors. This one we end up doing, shows that it's doing tile as well. And we've got 60 square feet in. That actually probably should be closer to 30 or less. So that might be a little bit off. And then if you've got another bedroom, if you got an entryway or something like that that needs flooring, then you can put that in there as well. In fact, we do hard surfaces in our living areas. So let's say you wanted to do a living room and laminate, kind of a laminate type wood, and you're doing, let's say, 300 square feet. Then, oops, 300. Then you're going to add $1,125 approximately to your budget. And again, that may go up or down depending on your labor, but labor for that is about $1 square foot is what we get our contractors to. So we've gotten our materials cost about $2.75 a square foot. So again, your labor and material may be higher if you're getting into the business and you don't have contractors that are willing to do it for less money, and if you don't have materials you're able to buy for as cheap. So that may go up to $4 to $5 a square foot. So just so you know that. If you've got some framing to do on the property, garage door opener if you need one. If you have to do gutters, that's about $3 a linear foot. So you can either measure that yourself or have a gutter guy go out and measure. You need a new heat and air unit. They're each about between $1,200 and $2,500 a piece, depending on their house and if they've got coils already, and that type of deal. So that can vary quite a bit. Interior paint, 1,700 square feet is actually that's not correct. If we do equals, sometimes our spreadsheets get off a little bit too. We are human here. So $1.50 a square foot for interior walls and trim is about where we are with our contractors. Sometimes it can get closer to $1 a square foot, but I estimate $1.50 just to be safe. If they've got to paint the cabinets, you may have an extra bit in there, but typically we ask them to put that into their price while they're there. Kitchen cabinet, if you're replacing them per linear foot, we found they're about $50 per linear foot. Counters are not 600 a linear foot. They are, let's see if you've got 12, I don't know, let's call it 20. I don't think it's quite that much. So let's say you're replacing a 10-foot countertop. That's going to cost you about $200. So that may be pretty close, like a Formica countertop. Other miscellaneous repairs in the kitchen, sink and faucet. If you've got, probably only have two. If you have like a wet bar, $150 a piece. Tile backsplash, you're going to get a bid on that. That's going to vary depending on your patterns and who installs it, how much prep work you need. So that's really probably on a bid basis. Hardware for cabinets, we've gotten our costs down. We actually only pay about $1.50 now for our cheaper properties. For knobs, you can actually go on gliderite.com. That's RITE, gliderite.com, and you can actually order them for $1 a piece approximately. I think you have to add a little shipping to that, but it comes out to about $1.25, $1.50 a piece, which is very cheap. Most places charge about $2 to $2.50, if not $3.50 a knob for the cabinets. If you got trees that need to be removed, you've got mulch that needs to be done, and then landscaping, and those are typically per bid there. We provide mulch and things like that for our contractors, so we estimate that into there. If you got a new bathroom for plumbing, if you got installed fixtures, or if you have a miscellaneous labor bid, you can throw it in there. And remember, again, you can customize this, you guys. You can insert a row here if you need to, put in another one, or delete it out if you put it in there and decide you don't need it. Because this right here is going to auto-populate. I forgot to mention that when you do each category, it's going to populate to this number here. See, these two add up to this number. And then eventually it's going to add up all of these cells to your bottom number. Okay. Repair a roof, replace a roof, two different numbers. This one needed a $4,500 roof. Don't forget your closet shelves. If you need, 6 closet shelves, and someone's going to charge you, $100 to put them in. Oops, 100. All right, and then you got wood trim per linear foot. Let's say you have 200 linear feet. Cost you, let's say $3 a linear foot for labor and installation. Estimate $600 for that. And then repairing windows, replacing them, that type of deal. So all of these, once you go through this full thing, and we've got a rehab walkthrough checklist as well that you'll walk through and take notes on. Once you do that, you can go back through here, punch all of your numbers in. It's going to estimate your total repairs plus your overages and populate them into here. If you don't like the rehab worksheet, or if you decide that it's faster just to go in here and do your numbers, there's nothing wrong with that. The rehab walkthrough checklist does allow you to not miss some things. So I would probably do that first. Come in here and punch your numbers, and boom, it auto populates for you, and you just keep playing with this number until you get to the profit point that you want to be. All right. So for us, just so you know, in this type of property, we want to make probably at least 15 grand on this type of deal. If we can get to 20, that's even better. For a low priced house, that's a very good number. And earlier I talked about rent to own. So let's say you decide you want to rent to own this property. And rent to own, for you guys that don't know, it's you're renting the property to someone until they can buy it. So you get a lease agreement in place, and they have an option to purchase it for a certain price within a certain time frame. So all of these numbers are going to populate over. When we do a rent to own, we can typically get them done in 2 months compared to 4. So there's one difference there. Let's say you decide, I want to go ahead and do it on a 4-month. Utilities, we're not going to pay as many commissions on this type of deal. In fact, this number could potentially be 2 if there's no other agent involved. And we're the ones that do our rent to owns, which happens actually most of the time. So if you look at the comparison, we'll actually start over here. Again, we estimate 2 months, so I'll show you the difference. So with rent to own, you can save $140 on taxes. You can save $90-some on insurance. When we do rent to owns, there's no buyer paid costs. So we take that out of there because the buyer pays their own costs. If they want to add it to the price, they can, and then we pay it back, so it's no money out of our pocket. Get this done in 2 months. The interest is split in half. Inspection and staging is probably the same. We may not stage our properties if we know we have a rent-to-own person going in there, especially if we can get it filled before we put it on the market. Utilities can be cut in half. So if you look at the price or the profit difference between a rent-to-own and something we sell outright, we're going to make $8,000 more, which, if you do the math, is, what is that, 40% more on this type of deal. And on a rent to own, if we keep the property more than a year, we can do a 1031 exchange, which is a completely different webinar, but that's basically deferring the taxes by taking the profits and putting it immediately into another property, right? And you also, if you're doing rent to own, you can take these numbers and tweak them. Let's say on a rent to own, you can get away with not replacing the stove or the appliances because they're white. We do stainless steel on all of our properties if we're selling them outright. But if we do rent to own, we may get away with white appliances. So there's actually some cost down here that you can save doing a rent to own because these buyers aren't quite as picky. Now, you still want to do things that make the property safe. You still want to make the property nice, but there are some things that you cannot do when you're doing a rent to own property. So that right there is the main part of the deal analyzer. And if you decide you want to do rental properties, I'm going to show you here how to look at cash flow. So if your interest rate is 6% on this type of deal, and you're doing it for 20 years, this number right here, you see, populates from over here. So if you borrow 100% from a private investor and you refinance 100% and that's your loan, and you decide you want to rent this out for $750, this will show your principal and interest on $36,000 with these loan terms. It'll show your insurance based on what you put on the previous sheet, your taxes, your monthly payment, and here's your potential cash flow before vacancies, before repairs, and anything else that you may have expense-wise on this property. So this allows us to look at, okay, if we do a rental or rent to own, what is our potential cash flow going to be? So this deal looks really good, having $370 in potential cash flow with this type of rent. And not only that, but we're paying down our principal with this principal and interest payment. And on a rent to own, the buyer actually pays for the repairs. So if there's anything that needs to be done to the house, they've agreed to do that. And as long as they stay in the property, there's no vacancy. So this right here is our net cash flow on this property. So pretty nice. And then if you want to look at the amortization schedule, you've got the loan terms here. You can change the start date. You got the payment, number of payments, and then see how much you're paying down each month. So you're actually paying another $80 a month in principal And once you keep the property longer, you start paying more principal down per month. All right. So I know I went through that really quickly, but I wanted to put a video together to show you how this works rather than just throwing it at you. So I hope this helps you. Just go in here, make sure when you download it, you save a master. And then when you analyze properties, you save it based on the property name, put it in a folder where you analyze all of your properties. And this right here will help you to make better decisions, bar none. And if you're wanting to automate your business and you don't have something like this in place, please put it in place. And you can, if you're good with Excel, you can go through and you can tweak this spreadsheet and add some things that you want to add, take out anything that you want to take out. But if you just take this the exact same way it is and use it, I guarantee you it's going to make your deals more profitable. It's going to help you to better understand what deals you're getting into. You're going to be able to pass up the deals that are not good because you're going to have the bottom line number to tell you whether that's good or not, and just overall better your business. So thank you guys for watching this. I hope it really helped, and we'll talk to you here on the next video. Thanks, guys.